Here.
Your workload is much. Well, a lot of them aren't church.
Need to make a decision on what to do next, and we can backdate it. So if we do a resolution at New
Yeah.
York, we can back. It's tradition. Usually this meeting is just a regular meeting. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our veterans. And for the invitation from Departmental.
First, before I forget, being my age, wish everybody here a happy and healthy and prosperous new year. I do like to pray for the Carter family. President Carter passed away yesterday, I believe. So we'll pray for his family. He was our president, and he was a naval officer also. So let's look to the Lord in prayer. Father, as we stand before you today, Lord, we think of President Jimmy Carter, Lord. He served this country not only as a naval officer, but also a president. Whether the politics people agree with or not, that's beside the point. The man cared for people. He started making houses for people, Lord. So, Lord, we just want to thank you, Father, for his legacy. We pray, Father, for his family, that you bring comfort to them. Father, as we embark on the end of this year, we're asking, Father God, your blessing upon our board members and the decisions they make tonight. We pray, Father, for those who couldn't be here because of sickness. And Lord God, that you would just be with us in a very special way, not only tonight, but also this coming year. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Councilmember Barbara Bukowski,
Present.
Michael Jazinski,
Here.
Councilmember Gerald Kaminsky, Councilmember Brian Pilarski,
Present.
Councilmember Vernon Thompson,
Here.
Supervisor Brian Nowak. The full board is present.
Next order of business, I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person and a legal update and discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation. Do I have a second? All right, a second from Councilmember Kaminsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're entering executive session. Like they make a motion to exit executive session. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Kaminsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Out of executive session. Next item on our agenda is the public comment period. This is an opportunity for residents to comment on items appearing on the agenda of the town board meeting tonight. The public comment period should last 15 minutes maximum. Each speaker may speak only once. Each speaker shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes speaking time. We have one speaker signed up, Dawn. Happy New Year.
Oh, almost. Happy Merry Christmas. Okay, I might take a little bit longer. I'm so sorry. This is about the Benlick and town-owned properties and the bids for 24, 23, and 24, 25, the grass and snow. Who can believe when properties are put out to bid that they have already been sold? I don't know how anyone can approve these resolutions if they are put out to bid with inaccurate information. Where is the scope of work? Have 3 bids been received? I urge you to ask these questions to be answered prior to approving any of these resolutions. Who verifies that the properties have actually been cut or plowed? So many questions and so few answers. On the bid sheet, in order, that should not be included. 86 Carroll Drive, that's actually a vacant lot with a fence around it. It's listed on Benlick's site as being sold 3/2 of 23, yet in 24, we spent $866 on grass and cleanup, and on 1/22/24 spent another $144 on snow removal. Google Maps clearly shows the fence connects to 90 Carroll. In fact, you can no longer find 86 Carroll on the town assessment site or the real county property site. Who is going to look into this? Number 2, 0 Carroll Drive was sold 3/3 of 2020. 111 Edmund Street was sold 5/9 of 22. 30 to 32 Euclid was sold on 12/1 of 22. 86 Gardenvale Drive was sold 7/23 of 21. 2289 Genesee Street was sold 2/21/23. And despite that, this town spent $1,400 cutting the grass in 24. 53 John Bryan Lane was sold 9/1 of 21. 52 Olcott Place was sold 2/16 of 22. 36 Petro Lane was sold 7/23/21. 95 Pinehurst Avenue was sold 3/3 of 2020. 2 Redwood Drive was sold 12/12 of 2020. And 140 Tolson was sold on 5/4/22. 22 properties out of 20 are incorrectly listed on the list. 60% of that list is inaccurate. Property owned by the town at 1071 Walden has a sign by Simonelli advertising a vacant 23-acre lot for sale. In accordance with town law number 260-50, no sign shall be placed on public property. Is Simonelli paying us for the privilege of putting their sign there? If not, why isn't this sign removed immediately? We have a sign rule. Review of invoices from approximately April of 24 through the end of September revealed that we spent $23,833 on town-owned and Benlick homes. For the single invoice date of 1/22/24, we spent $4,472 on snow removal. Ask yourself, why are town employees not capable of cutting the grass or clearing snow at the town-owned properties? Why? You're not billing yourselves for it. We're paying an outside contractor to plow and cut grass on town-owned properties. If you want to say Benlick is different, I could understand that, but anyways, that's not right.
Can I make a motion to extend? That's 3 minutes.
Sorry,
No, you're good. I'm just making a motion. Second.
thank you.
Continue.
We should also ask, why are these vacant properties not put up for sale with a real estate company immediately? So the town has owned some of these properties since 2001, 2003, 2006, 2009. We need to immediately list them for sale and get them back on the tax rolls. This is a travesty to our taxpayers. This is only part of the travesty and a Band-Aid that the town continues, as they also pay for grass, clearing snow, etc., at privately owned businesses and homes throughout the town. From April of 24 to the end of September of 24, when I reviewed the bills, the town paid almost $50,000 to an outside vendor to cut grass, trim trees and bushes, etc. Sadly, the majority of these properties are located in the north portion of town. Many are owned by LLCs or out-of-town owners. Sadly, some are also owned by elderly who have either passed away or entered nursing homes. Many of these are rental properties as well. These properties are often delinquent in taxes. Back taxes on these properties that we paid the $50,000 in grass cutting fees in 1 year are roughly $2.2 million. Several of these properties are vacant land due to demolition, fire, or the owners have simply now walked away. The residents paid $7,760 to cut grass at the vacant strip club on Arrow Drive. There's a property at 2371 Genesee Street. The guy lives in Australia. His back taxes are $387,000 on a property that's assessed for $30,000. This cost taxpayers this year $3,030.50. Biggest travesty here is 484 Pine Ridge Heritage, which is the Mount Hope Cemetery, which owes back taxes of $254,000. And the cost to the taxpayers this year is $14,550.
That's currently 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Can I got a couple more seconds maybe? Can you guys let me
Yep.
finish?
I'll give it-
Because I think this is really important and I think other people might be concerned. Anyways, currently tonight's agenda also has items number 5 and 6 about the oil change shop, which is sponsored by 1593 Walden LLC. And they currently own the town $1,240 for cutting grass on one of their properties of Dale Road. Have they ever been billed? Did they even know? Will the residents be paid back and will they be charged accordingly with the high administrative fees? In accordance with town laws number 66-6, the supervising building and plumbing inspector is supposed to be billing each of these properties along with a $2,200 administrative fee, unless paid in full within 30 days of the bill. After that, then the lien is placed on the property. And then they get 30 days at the same rate that applies to real estate taxes. Many of these properties are rentals and doubles. Town law 194-7 says that rental properties must be registered with the town clerk. They pay a very cheap fee of $20 for a 2-year period, at which time they must reapply. Unfortunately, there's not such a list on our town website that I could find, so I wasn't able to confirm or deny if such a list exists or as it's not posted. What do taxpayers in this town have to do to get people to do their jobs at more than 40% accuracy? Thank you for your time. I have a lot of information. I'm happy to sit and talk with any of you who wish to talk about it. Thank you. And thanks for allowing me extra time.
That we have no other speakers signed up. We're going to move on to the consent agenda announcement. Consent agenda is contained in this meeting. The consent agenda is designed to assist in making the meeting shorter and more efficient. Items left on the consent agenda may not be discussed when the consent agenda comes up for a vote before the town board. If any council member wishes to discuss a consent agenda item, please tell me now, and I will remove the item from the consent agenda, and it will be added as a separate resolution item. Okay? Okay, you got 2024-790, 2024-791 to be pulled from consent. I'd like to pull 2024-787 from consent. Are there any others?
$775 through $778. $784. $789. $792. $768. And $771. 76768 and 771. And one last one, 772. $772.
Or any others? Madam Clerk, I believe that's everything.
Items that were pulled. I have 768. 771, 72, 75, 76, 77, 78. Pardon me? 773. Others? We will. I have 14 items pulled. We'll move on to approving the meeting agenda. The rest of the items, can I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda?
Make the motion.
768, 771, 772, 773, 775, 776, 777, 778, 784, 787, 789, 790, 91, and 92. I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda. Supervisor Noack, second by Councilmember Pilarski, all in favor?
Aye.
We have some items that were left on the table. I need a motion and a second to move any or all resolutions to the table. Do I have a motion or a second?
I'll make a motion to move all items from the table. All in favor?
I'll vote on that, please. I need a majority to say yes to that. Councilmember Bukowski?
No.
Councilmember Jazinski?
No.
Councilmember Kaminsky? Councilmember Pilarski?
Yes.
Member Thompson?
No.
Supervisor Noack? That is a vote of 3-3. The items will not be taken up. I have a motion by Supervisor Noack, a second by Councilmember Kaminsky to approve all items on the consent agenda, including the meeting minutes of December 10th, 2024, and resolution items 2024-768 through 798. We are going to recognize the 14 items that were pulled. And we will read them again, so we are clear. 768, 771, 772, 773, 775, 76, 77, and 78. That is 784, 787, 789, 790, 791, and 792. I need a roll call vote to approve all the items on the agenda. Councilmember Bukowski?
Yes.
Member Jazinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaminsky? Councilmember Pilarski?
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson?
Yes.
Supervisor Noack?
Yes.
Items are approved. We will move on to the separate resolution items that were pulled. We are starting with resolution 2024-768. That is sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. The following transfers being and hereby approved and made part hereof.
Hey, on the question.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. It says federal ARPA revenues. Do we have a current running list of what is earmarked for ARPA funding?
We do. That would be something that Brian Kraus can provide an updated version to the board. We've discussed this prior, where we were on ARPA funding earlier on in the year, and that list has been updated since then.
Can be my question also, because the list that I've received doesn't have, I was told everything was earmarked already, and contracts and payments to the sewer authority were not on there. So I'm just wondering where that money was reallocated from, and if something wasn't funded, or originally it was and now it isn't. I mean, that's almost $3 million.
You had money, that was, preliminary towards sewer laterals that is no longer going there to cover the unexpected increases from the sewer authority and the doubling of the recycling contract costs.
First I'm hearing of this. I don't know. Just- I mean, is there more somewhere that didn't get used, or is that to the penny, or where's?
The town is obligated by tomorrow night to have everything under contract. As far as the American Rescue Fund goes, there is nothing else in terms of allocating it. At the last meeting, we dealt with the highway garage and some sewer work there. 2 mini bids on sewer laterals. And that and this deal with the remaining funds. And then there was some others about, some capital projects that were within the last meeting.
It does get a little bit confusing because a lot of this money is kind of to a certain degree, if you go through 76 and some of the other ones, that there's deducts in there because the money was allotted originally for the contract, which I think was originally, do you recall, Brian, around 20 million that we were drawing off of?
Oh, for the American Rescue Fund? I think it was around approximately $26 million.
Yeah, somewhere's in that area, and that's where it gets a little confusing. You know, and it's like I said, to me, the magic word is at the bottom of most of these resolutions. If you read the attachments, it would explain it to you. All that information is there. You know, and actually, if my.
What about the rest of the ARPA money then? Is that in there too?
Well, that I think Brian said it. We got the charts which were updated. Actually, for a while, we were, I think, around. You remember, Brian, what was it, 2 million over?
Oh, that's what I'm asking you.
A lot of it's been adjusted since.
This resolution would deal with the remaining ARPA funds and allocate it.
Yes, if this is not done, by midnight tomorrow night, money goes back to the government. City of Buffalo's in deep trouble over that.
Spending less money on the sewer laterals in the tune of 2.8 million and then just reallocating it towards these unexpected expenses. This is the way I read it, this is the way I'm interpreting it, and this is the way I was told it, so I'm just double checking on that. We're taking the 2.8 and just reallocating it to the recycling contract, which was over what we expected. That took a big jump. That's no surprise to any of us. We all know that. We voted on that contract. And then with the Buffalo Sewer Authority, they came in with a price tag higher also, expected more. So we kind of pre-saw that coming, and these were 2 unexpected costs. And the way I'm interpreting it is we're reallocating the ARPA money, which is a one-time expense, but in the future, we're gonna have to figure out these costs also moving forward budgeting time. This is an opportunity to address those unexpected costs, this one time with it all is the way I'm seeing it. Am I correct on that?
The lateral cost that we were looking at with, as part of ARPA or as part of our spending package in general, we're taking care of some of those and we took care of them at the last meeting. There is still more to come. And it's relating to our DEC consent order.
Correct. Yeah, there's still those expenses down the line also. So
Right.
either way, we're gonna have to address one or the other.
So take this $2 million with ARPA for the Buffalo Sewer Authority. That's either gonna cover the lateral repairs and go to the sewer fund through that, or it's gonna cover this unexpected expense and go to the sewer fund through that. So that's covering sewers either way. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm equally as puzzled on this because, I mean, we're talking about American Rescue Funds that are, you know, basically the taxpayers' dollar. I mean, if town council isn't privy to what's happening with these rescue plan funds, how is the public to be privy of it?
Oh, it's all in the packet here, right? Yeah. But it's not. We don't have a breakdown of what all of our ARPA funds are being spent for. Unless that's in the packet somewhere that I didn't see.
We started, before we even got ARPA funds. I mean, engineering has.
Right, and I have
updated
that
us.
same list, but it's been modified.
Right. but
many,
if you
many
look at,
times.
Like 775, 77.6 and some of the other ones, if you look at the bid number, it's from 2018. The other one is from 2021. Mark Crystal stood at that podium and explained it to you, why the work was done back then, so we didn't have to duplicate paving roads or anything. And that's why we're getting all these credits now, based on that 26 million we were originally drawing on.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everything on that list, nothing was finalized because that was just kind of, not, I don't want to even call it a wish list, but that was just a prelim list. It's when it's memorialized with a resolution is where it's earmarked officially to
Right.
spend. So there was still 2.8 left. It was really never earmarked specifically through a resolution to laterals or anything else. In this case, it's just being presented to go towards the recycling contract and the Buffalo sewer. So
And-
am I correct on saying it that way?
Right, but you know, a
Just-
little
just-
while
just a
back,
favor.
we asked if all of the monies for the ARPA revenues was earmarked, and we were told it was. And at no point did I ever see or have discussions with anybody up here that those monies would be spent for a recycling contract and going towards the sewer authority. That's what I'm getting at.
Right. Well, you're also
That's the
part of
issue.
the committee, correct me if I'm wrong? You're part of the sewer committee?
Yeah.
Were you?
Well, they don't know a lot of this per se, but my point still stands.
We had $2 million allocated towards sewer district related work, and we still do. And instead of covering the lateral side, it is now covering the unexpected cost with the Buffalo Sewer Authority. We also had a recycling contract where there's an unexpected doubling of cost. And
That discussion,
and while we don't have as much allocated toward the sewer work out of ARPA that we initially intended on that, we had to do something to cover the difference on that as a town, and
I
that's why this is here.
understand that, but I just think we should be having these discussions before today. And then, you know, the agenda came out, you know, this past week, but I'm sure this was decided well before a week ago. I mean, I bet any dollar amount on that.
Right, I agree. I'm agreement with
That's the
Jerry
issue.
that we should be able, we need to use the money. If we don't use it, we lose it. But the problem is that, you know, it seems like every time we turn around, something's modified or changed. And I think minimally that the committees, the chairs of the committee should be, you know, involved in the conversation with any changes. So my take is that the committee members weren't privy to these changes.
With that, are there any other questions, comments on the resolution? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I think we need to have a brief break so we can discuss this because this doesn't sit well with me. I don't know how the other board members feel before we go ahead and just pass this because it seems like a few of us have no idea what's going on with this funding, and I could bet that a lot of our constituents in the towns probably feel the same way.
Well, I think a lot of it, not to interrupt anybody, and that's why I pointed out the data's, some of these, you know, bid numbers. Yeah, and I mean, you know, with all due respect, you know, I know 3 people were not here at that time. This has been ongoing since I do believe, was it 2015, Pat? Yeah. That started back in 2015, and I think originally, I might be off on the numbers, I think we originally estimated $52 million. We've exceeded that already. And it's kind of one of these, do we have a choice in the matter? I don't believe so. I've done enough with the DEC. This is not going to end. We're going to live with this probably after I'm long dead and buried. The state is not going to give up on it.
Well, I'm just of the opinion if there's any changes to $25 million of the taxpayers' money, it should also be at the board's, you know, discretion to change that.
Agreed.
But this was all done over the years, Mike.
I know, Jerry, but when we first were talking about these ARPA funding, we had a spreadsheet that I still have on what we were going to earmark some of these projects and basically a snapshot of what we're going to do. Since then, it's been modified several times. So I'm just saying, if we're talking about taxpayer dollars, especially in the sum of $25 million, I think it should be a total board vote on anything that gets changed because, you know, who knows what goes behind closed doors and in the still of the night, you know, this is all new to me. I haven't been put in any conversation on these changes. And my interpretation, Councilmember Thompson hasn't either.
Vast majority of these expenses are covering the sewer district. They were planned to cover sewer expenses and they still are covering sewer expenses.
Who's making these decisions just to move this around?
Most of these with the award of bids that everything over the years has been board decisions.
Well, at this stage, there's a resolution before the town board to make a decision on it. And you know, at this point, you know, we can make a decision on to spend it this way or to contract it some other way, but you know, we have 2 days left and we have to make sure that we,
But if we're just, you know, putting a, you know, a hire for a lifeguard, oh yeah, we can just throw a name up there and we'll see if it sticks. But this is $2.8 million and we're just changing things around and be like, oh, well, it's on a resolution to vote on it. So everything's fine. That is my point that I'm trying to make. And I hope it's
I definitely
somewhat
get your
clear to
point.
people.
The point being, and correct me if I'm wrong, the point being is look at the first time we're seeing it is when it's in a transfer of funds piece of it all. Bottom line is we got to pay for this either way, whether it's with ARPA money, but the point being made is not the matter of, you know, how we're going to pay for it. It's the lack of the communication of how did we get here to
Make
it.
these decisions.
And unfortunately, I mean, we are at the final hours. We literally have 24 hours. Tomorrow is the day. So it seems shady and whatnot. And how does it? It's 2.8 million, not 25 million. Just so we're on that page right there. And like Vern said, it's 2.8. No, not you. Mike
Oh.
was saying 25 million. So I just want to, it's 2.8 million that's getting transferred. How it got to this, I don't know, but whether we pay for it out of reserve funds or we pay for it by increasing taxes or we pay for it with ARPA money.
This
This
is
is the
also-
least, you know, hit on the taxpayer's wallet locally than it is, you know, going in and bonding it or any else for it. But I get your point. Your point is not that we're paying for it. It's how we got to this point, and that I don't have that answer on how.
And in addition, we just went through the entire budget process, knowing these were coming. This wasn't discussed at all to say, hey, we know we have this big hit coming. We're going to be using our ARPA funding to cover that. So
Right.
this has to do with also the budget.
Well, yeah, right.
That-
Plus 2015, as Jerry said, we didn't have any dollars earmarked for ARPA funding. 2015 was way before then.
Right. We were lucky enough to procure a lot of grants and everything else to help along with this, you know, from the state, from everybody.
I guess. Did somebody up here make the decision to do that and not discuss or? Because if we don't talk about this now, it's never going to be brought up again.
That's one, honestly, I didn't go
Harry, did you send an
back through
email?
any of
or-
the files that I've got on it, Vern. For the simple reason, I pretty much knew where we were at, and at one time, I think we had to make some corrections. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Was, you know, this whole
One
process
time.
has been very much in flux the whole time we've gone through it because there was a lot of wish list type things. As we kind of went through, we were starting to pass resolutions on most of these projects. But as we've gone through as well as we did have money allocated for certain projects and some things cost more than what had been expected because in order to do this on the front end, we put out, you know, quick quotes or you know, got some ballpark type numbers and we ended up short in some instances and over in others. So it's been a process that has needed adjustments. And you're right. I mean, there's times where it's kind of not been the focus. It's been a newer process for everybody. A pot of money that was given to us by the federal government. We tried to on the front end of this. I always tried to say it'd be better to pick larger projects to get this stuff done. and not have it be administratively extremely challenging to follow everything. There's probably 30, 35 different projects that we had listed. And now that it's gotten closer to the deadline date that everything needs to be allocated and accounted for, it's been a challenge to try to figure out, okay, what's left in this one project, what's not in another, what's not going to happen. And I think at this point now we have $2.8 million where we thought, we have shortfalls in both of those funds. It would be best allocated that way.
Right, if I may ask, when was this decided? Was this around budget time when we thought this was something that we could use for that? Or,
I mean, there's been, I can't say exactly when, Vern, and I'm not trying to avoid the question. It's just, it's been a process. It's been, during budget time, there's been consideration as we've been going through it. So I would say it's happened in the last 2-3 months, sure.
Right, because I'm not sure, but I think the one that was a shocker to me was the $2 million from the Buffalo Sewer Authority. Never saw that one coming. They raised all the rates on everything.
yeah, we knew about
It's
that.
fine, Jerry, but we just need to be included in the loop. That's the thing. It seems like it's been a common theme is that, we lack communication. All we want to do is be included. We want to spend this money because we want to be able to utilize it, but where it falls short of the trust factor is that when myself and the other council members are left out of it, if we make changes, it's probably more than likely for the better. I get it. And we want to be able to utilize the money as best as possible. But when there's changes, the people in this town elected us to make, decisions. When the whole board or partial of the board is left out of the decision making, it's not fair to the people of the town of Cheektowaga.
Well, I think a lot of it, Mike, is communication, but I'm gonna ask you a pointed question. I'll ask the whole board a pointed question. Who doesn't look at the attachments on it?
That in the attachments, the updated ARPA spending? Oh, it's not in there right now pertaining to
No.
this.
The attachments are basically
Gotcha.
relative to what we're going over tonight.
Yeah.
Attachments for these resolutions, roughly 280 pages. It's not an easy task, but you just can't discount it and not go through it. And then wait until the last minute. And then, well, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. It's a certain responsibility that I take very seriously. And I say, all of them.
I respectfully disagree with that because the information that we're discussing and looking for has zero relevance with what reading through that is.
Well, for tonight's meeting. But
Exactly. There's no
And
relevance.
I'm not telling anybody how to do it.
Zero
I've got
relevance,
files on everything. I got files on everything.
except for what we're looking for right now.
I actually have a copy of the ARPA fund spreadsheet with me, so I'd be more than.
That's the
love
extent
to
of my
share it.
point that I wanted to express. I'm okay in favor of voting for this, but we need to really consider, going forward, working together and actually doing that, because just to change things to that tune is not fair to anybody, us or the
Right.
residents.
I agree, because even, we've had incidences where people took the executive decision to change the town chamber seats without the board's approval. So where's the oversight? I mean, we're supposed to be the town's watchdogs. We're talking about a lot of money here that we could probably make a better informed decision, but not in the 11th hour. So I ask you, when is the final decision for this spending have to be handed into?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Okay, so I make a motion to table it until tomorrow night.
I
Not
would
gonna happen. I'm
urge,
not coming here tomorrow. It's New Year's Eve.
I would urge this board to consider.
Well,
the
I asked
alternative.
for a recess and you didn't
Well, we're
agree.
discussing it now. We could definitely discuss it. I get your point. You're absolutely, how did it come about this? The bottom line is where there was a lack of communication or no communication on it, and I don't disagree on that. But we have $2.8 million to spend of ARPA money, or we write the check back to the federal government. So where do you guys want to go with it?
Our options are to spend this money in the next 24 hours or give it back to the federal government. No. No,
But in reality, I mean, everyone's back is in a corner on this, every single person, you know, on this piece, say, hey, we got to spend it now. This is what we're spending it towards. So I get that point. Absolutely.
I'd like a call a vote on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Bukowski. Dominic Schiraldi on behalf of 580 Dick Road LL. 580 Dick Road, Chickawaga, New York, 14043. That's SBL 103.05-3-3, filed submittals under project number 2023-2743. The proposed sought to demolish the existing building for the construction of 2 new retail convenience and to-go eatery stores for a total of 3,928 square feet, and the expanding of the fuel pump islands for a total of 10 stalls. As the approving local, the Town Board of Chickawaga, New York grants approval of the amended site plan filed under project 2023-2743 for the address of 580 Dick Road. The approval is conditional upon the engineering signing off on stormwater management and drainage plans, and the building and plumbing receipt of a sealed, stamped, and signed site plan upon engineering sign off.
Right, on the question?
Question on this, maybe Dan Young can answer it. The plan is still the same to demo the building and re-put up. It's just the island, the gas island from 10 stalls. That's what's changing.
Good evening, Council. Dan Young for the record. And yes, so that correct is the islands would be reduced by 1 pump island, and the configuration would go from a quadrant of 4 stations to a unilateral 3 stations.
With a new building going there though, right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
correct.
I
Yeah,
just want
yeah.
to double
Sorry.
check,
Yep,
make sure I was reading it correctly.
Tearing it down,
correct.
not just remodeling it.
Tearing it down from my understanding. Yep.
Okay. This came up, I don't know, earlier in the year. So I guess a few questions. I don't know what happened to this project.
So it received site plan approval earlier in the year. As far as why the delay in pulling permits, that is a process that's out of my hands once site plan approval is established. But they came back to us and said, we're looking for a site plan amendment. So, we sent them back to the planning board for consideration of that. Then we also had them go back before the zoning board to reconsider reaffirm the variances that were issued with this change to the site plan, and they did do so. And now they're back before you folks this evening. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
good.
Questions?
Sorry, one last one.
Yep.
Did he give a timeline or anything like this, when they're looking to get started now? Being in.
There was no timeline
Springtime
given,
or-
but they do have when it comes to business, commercial, non-residential site plans, there is a validation for a year post approval. So if you were to approve it tonight, they would have 1 year to pull permits, and start construction.
Okay.
All in favor of the item?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Resolution 2024-772, sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Bukowski. Michael Hyde, Quattro Development, on behalf of 1593 Walden LLC, has filed project submittals for review under local project 2024-1924 for the lead parcel of 1593 Walden Avenue, Chickawaga, New York 14225. That's SBL 10214-4-1.12. Applicant proposes the retrofitting of 2,000 square feet building for a 3-bay quick service oil change center with site modifications lot circulation and parking. The Town Board of Chickawaga, New York grants the issuance of a special use permit for vehicle servicing and is to cover the parameters defined in the legal description below for project 2024-1924.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Question.
Thompson?
So, and I'm sorry, maybe Dan can speak to this one again. Thank you.
Welcome.
So, these next two resolutions are pretty much together, but when it comes to, the back taxes and things like that, is the developer typically take over that? And now if it's not purchased, then the county will eventually pay that. So where do we stand with this with, backed bills from this current developer?
So when it comes to back taxes, that's handled out of the assessor's office. As far as this
New
project,
development and
yeah, as far as this project in particular, I'll be honest, this was news to me tonight that there was back taxes. My assumption here though is I understood when they approached us that they were in transaction of buying the properties. So what you have happen at times with development is there'll be a contractual agreement where a developer comes in and says, I'm going to buy this property pending approvals from the town.
everything, yeah.
And then if they were to receive approvals, then the property would turn over and then there'd be a payment on taxes. So that, like I said, this was news to me tonight. As far as how that gets handled, there'd be a question for Michael Milks
Yeah,
when it comes to back taxes.
it's the only question I have on this. I don't know if anyone else does.
Right? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries.
You want me to stay up for the next one?
Sure.
Okay.
772 is carried. Resolution 2024-773, sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Bukowski. 5 Quattro Development on behalf of 1593 Walden LLC has filed project submittals for review under local project 2024-1924 for the lead parcel of 1593 Walden Avenue, Chickawaga, New York 14225, SBL 10214-4-1.12. The applicant proposes the retrofitting of 2,000 square foot building for a 3-bay quick service oil change center with site modifications, including lot circulation and parking. Town Board of Chickawaga, New York grants approval of the site plan dated 6/20/24 for project 2024-1924.
Last item we need to approve regarding this project, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any questions from other council members? All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. We're all set. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Resolution 773 is carried. Resolution 2024-775, sponsored by Councilmember Kaminsky, seconded by Councilmember Thompson. Contract for Phase 3, contract for sanitary sewer manhole rehabilitation in Sewer Shed 3. That's bid 2018-12 for the contract price of $938,473.95. Was awarded to National Water Main Company by Town Board Resolution dated April 24th, 2018. The project has been completed at a deduct of $36,530.89 to the original contract price. The Town Board accepts the completed project and directs the supervisor to execute final contract acceptance documents with National Water Main Cleaning Company.
On the question? Yes, Councilmember Thompson.
If you could clarify, Mr. Bowen, I did receive the email, as most did, on this. I know we would be in jeopardy of losing funding that would be coming in if we don't approve these.
Right, they won't be eligible for reimbursement.
That's the tune of about 15 million.
Actually, I think it's probably, well, actually it might be close to 15 million, yeah. You're welcome.
Favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Thompson, contract for Phase 7 cleaning, televising, and lining of sanitary sewer through cured in-place pipe in sewer shed number 4. That's bid 2021-7 for the contract price of $5,164,408.50 was awarded to In Situ Form Technologies LLC by the Town Board Resolution dated April 13th, 2021. The project has been completed at a deduct of $6,300 to the original contract price. This town board accepts the completed project and directs the supervisor to execute final contract acceptance documents with In Situ Form Technologies.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries.
7, sponsored by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. The contract for Phase 5 contract for sanitary sewer manhole rehabilitation and sewer shed number 6, bid 2020-11 for the contract price of $793,260.12 was awarded to National Water Main Cleaning Company by Town Board Resolution dated May 26, 2020. The project has been completed at a deduct of $149,698.19 to the original contract price. This town board accepts the completed project and directs the supervisor to execute final contract acceptance documents with National Water Main Cleaning.
All right, on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries.
Contract for Phase 6 contract for the sanitary sewer manhole rehabilitation and sewer shed number 8, bid 2021-10 for the contract price of $1,237,797.44 was awarded to National Water Main Cleaning Company by Town Board Resolution dated July 27th, 2021. Project was completed at a deduct of $69,625.20 to the original contract price. This town board accepts the completed project and directs the supervisor to execute final contract acceptance documents with National Water Main Cleaning.
On the question. All in favor?
I have
Oh, I'm sorry.
question, comment on this. So in whole with these resolutions, we've had many discussions about why this work was done or bid out many years ago. And, you know, similar to the conversation we just had about, you know, changing things around and not letting people know about moving money around. Going forward, I'm not sure why there is 3-4 years later where this contract is not complete. And going forward, I mean, yes, we're not looking to lose out on, you know, this funds. We're backed into a corner per se, but going forward, why is that something that's, you know, the practice that we've done?
This usually doesn't happen. In this case, with these 4 contracts, with the manhole rehab contracts, there were X number of manholes that were located on state highways. And there were delays in getting the permit from the New York State DOT to do the work within the DOT right away. And it's the same with the lining contract that's included in these bid resolutions, and that's the reason for the delay. Once we got the permits in place to do the work was completed in a timely fashion. And now all we're doing is trying to go through the process of close these out and get reimbursement.
Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries.
Four 784 is sponsored by Councilmember Bukowski, seconded by Councilmember Pilarski. Facilities Department, Parks Division has requested authorization to purchase 2 2025 Toro Z Master Zero turns with 60-inch deck as specified in New York State Contract Group 4040-625 heavy equipment. Town Board hereby authorizes the purchase of two 2025 Turo Z Master Zero Turns with 60-inch deck in the amount of $32,255.56 from Grassland Equipment of Latham, New York.
On the question?
Yes, I'm just curious, what are we doing with the replacement zero turns that we have? Or the current, do we currently have two zero turns? What do we do when, we decommission equipment?
We usually auction, I mean, in regards to vehicles, at least, we usually auction them
I'm
off.
saying
in terms-
specifically something like this because in my 3-year tenure, I've never seen any auction or any purchaser of any equipment of such. So I'm just
Tell you-
curious.
We've some equipment in the past. As far as these zero turns, I would have to check in to see exactly what's going on with the
So-
two older ones.
I could actually speak on that.
Yeah.
Email was sent on December 20th from John to Barb and myself, so it did not go to the whole board. So I'm just saying, hey, this is the resolution I put forward, so we can answer that because John's not here. Just saying that he submitted a resolution to purchase two zero turns in the sum of $32,255. The two machines I have will be sent to auction as we get more of them for them to trade them. The trade value is approximately $1,500 per unit, and the auction value could bring in about $2,500 to $3,000. So he's saying he's going to put his two older units on the auction block to recoup double what the trade-in value would have been. So that's what's going to happen. There's two older ones as the two newer ones come in.
I appreciate that explanation, Mr. Pilarski, but I feel that the whole town board should have been privy to that email. To me, it just shows lack of transparency.
Kind of lack of transparency. We have committees for a reason. So I'm sure you get emails from your department heads that you oversee that you just don't forward, nor do I expect you to.
I'm in the
'cause-
library, so
Can-
I
Can I
hate to
speak?
tell you,
I'm
yes, you
not cutting
can,
you out.
but you're
Okay,
saying
so-
all of mine, I'm in
Okay,
two.
one at a time.
So Mike, if you also want to go, then go at Barb for it too, because your counterpart, her and I are on the same committee here and oversee that committee. Now you asked the question, we had the answer, we gave it to you. But also if you have the question, you could always reach out to that department head. I'm not trying to hide a trade-in value of a damn zero turn. I'm giving you the information I was given. Not a matter of not being transparent. If you want me to forward every email I get in the town to you, I'll set that automatic forward up right now.
I'm not talking about you specifically, Councilmember or Councilmember Bukowski. I'm talking about the department head's transparency. So I think it would have been fair if they would have shared it. Mr. John C. would have shared it.
I don't think John was being non-transparent. I think John was reporting to his chairs of his committee. That's how a committee system works. Now, if we want to change the way that system works to say, hey, every department head should email all board members. I think
Typically
we
how it's
should.
been in the past, though, has it not?
It has not.
I beg
Not
to
been that way
differ.
in
We
the
can beg
past.
to differ. I just think something when it comes to the town's money and making decisions, yes, you obviously want to keep the committee members privy, but to your assertion that, I should stay in, touch with my committees, I'm on the libraries and, I don't think that I have much committees to maybe get these emails, but I just think when it comes to the town's taxpayers' money, $32,000 is a hell of a lot of money. And I just think that, it should have been sent out to the entire board. That's all I'm asking. I'm not pointing fingers and saying you or Barb. I'm saying it would have been probably a better idea if John would have sent that to the entire board, just to keep us in the loop, because we wouldn't have had this discussion if we were in the loop. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But every single thing we do, say, or think of costs taxpayer money. So with your explanation on what you're looking for, every piece of business we do should be CC'd every board member, which I'm not disagreeing that if that is what you want. I can see that, but I'm going to tell you, my email box is going to be overflowing, and that's why we have committees to separate the work here.
Yeah, I want to just be in, we wouldn't be having this discussion if I would have received that email. Would that be a correct assumption?
I disagree on that, but I don't want to keep bickering on it, but
Well,
okay.
Brian, I'll disagree on that too, because these resolutions came out last week, Monday, about 3:30 in the afternoon. Foolish me, I read them. There's some I did have some questions on, so I called the department heads. The ones that I didn't have a problem with, I didn't. It takes a simple phone call. Call the department head. What's going on? I have yet to run into any single one of our department heads that will not take the time to explain what they're doing to me. Not a single one.
All right. Any other comments on this? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? It carries.
or 2024-787, sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. Town of Cheektowaga Sewer Department, in an attempt to save money and for the smoother operation of the sewer department, requested of the Town of Cheektowaga Supervisory Unit permission for its sewer department employees to amend their current work schedule. The hours of work for the town sewer department employees will be from 7 to 2 p.m. Supervisor being hereby is authorized and directed to execute the aforementioned memorandum of agreement with the Town of Cheektowaga Employees Association.
Offer an amendment to, under the second whereas, point number 4. It makes mention to the TCSU in the second line. I'd like to change that to the TCEA. Do I have a second on the amendment? Second. If you, on resolution 787, under the second whereas, it says this memorandum of agreement will take effect upon both the town and the TCSU ratifying its successor agreement. I would like to change that to the TCEA because this would be contingent on, this would go into effect when the TCEA has a successor agreement.
Have to change that on a heading too, Brian?
The heading is fine. It's just, this should say TCEA in point number 4. Because the TCSU is willing to do this upon ratification of the
okay.
TCA contract. So,
Has that been discussed also with the union, TCA?
the memo for the TCEA was discussed with them. Resolution 788 was discussed with the president, yes.
Modifying this.
Modifying this, that should have said TCEA in the first place. So no, this TCSU resolution was discussed with the TCSU president.
So we do have the president of the TCEA. I think that maybe he should speak on behalf of this amendment.
Come on up. So I'll ask the question the essential question here. I mean, so good evening, and to your mind, should both the TCEA and the TCSU have successor agreements in order for this to be ratified, or should we get this agreement moving when the TCEA has their contract? Because this is an agreement between the TCSU and the town. I mean, do you feel comfortable speaking to what the town should be doing with the TCSU?
No, that wouldn't be with us,
Okay,
no, because our agreement's just between us and the Board of Health.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
No, so in regards to the amendment to this, is there a second? I'll get a second from Councilmember Kaminsky.
Oh, for a roll call vote.
Roll call vote on the amendment to change TCSU to TCEA in the 4th bullet point under the second whereas for resolution 2024-787. Councilmember Bukowski. Councilmember Jazinski.
No.
Member Kaminsky.
Yes.
Member Pilarski.
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson.
No.
Supervisor Noack.
Yes.
Amendment is approved.
This, just if I could speak further on this, there are 2 resolutions here, both 787 and 788. The intent here is to get the sewer department workers, as it says in point 2, town sewer department employees will waive 2 15-minute breaks, revise the length of the 30-minute lunch break period to 20 minutes. And the hours of the town sewer department employees will be from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. The intent here is to make it between the town and the union and all the other parties that work together to increase productivity and efficiency and make things work for everybody involved. There was a discussion with myself and the TCEA president. I think you remember the memo coming up to you earlier in the year, the idea of this memo on the TCEA side.
Yeah, I spoke to the sewer department head and the president TCA, and they're in agreement that this would be, more efficient for this department. Because if they're out in the field and, 11 o'clock hits and you have to drive back, stop what you're doing, drive back, have your mandated lunch, pack everything up and then come back. I get that. I asked if there was anything down the road they could see could be, a negative impact of this and there was nothing at that time. So,
So part of dealing with part of dealing with this general agreement is having the TCSU on board with this change as well. So all this resolution does is get the TCSU on board. And again, this has been discussed with the president of the TCSU, who is favorable to this item in the discussion he and I had about it. So all in favor of the resolution as amended? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
787 is carried. Resolution 2024-789 is sponsored by Supervisor Noack, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. There is one vacancy in the position of member of the Cheektowaga Board of Assessment Review. The town board determined the following individual, Patricia Mountain, meets the qualifications for membership of the Board of Assessment Review and hereby is appointed from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2029.
Question?
Like to table it.
Motion to table. Is there a second? All right.
Kowski of Cheektowaga, New York, being and hereby is appointed to the position of working crew chief in the Facilities Department, Lawson Road, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the town's collective bargaining agreement with the Town of Cheektowaga Supervisory Unit, effective January 27th, 2025.
Right.
I'll make a motion to do a roll call vote.
I'll second the table.
There's a motion on the floor prior to the table.
Councilmember Bukowski. Councilmember Jazinski.
Yes.
No.
Councilmember Pilarski.
Yes. Yes.
Yes for Councilmember Pilarski. Councilmember Thompson.
Yes.
Supervisor Noah.
Considering the board didn't have an opportunity to interview this individual and that there are individuals in the TCSU that have bid on this particular position, I'm a no.
As of Cheektowaga, New York, being and hereby is appointed to the position of working crew chief in the Facilities Department, Parks Division, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the town's collective bargaining agreement with the Town of Cheektowaga Supervisory Unit, effective December 31st, 2024.
I'd like to
Make
second.
a
it if
motion
we
to
got a table.
roll call vote.
Sorry,
I'll second roll call vote.
gentlemen. Mr. Kaminsky was the first speaker.
I acknowledge Councilmember Thompson. I heard
Oh,
him speak
I'm
up
the
first.
chair of the meeting. I heard.
I
Mr.
understand,
Kaminsky
but my
speak
hearing
first.
is really good and I heard him call for a roll call vote.
Recording and see who was first.
That,
Do a playback. I heard Mr. Kaminsky speak first as soon as the clerk finished speaking. Then I heard Mr. Thompson and Mr. Jazinski immediately after that. Mr.
That's
Kaminsky is
based on your discretion.
I
recognized.
beg to differ, Supervisor. I heard Councilmember Thompson.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm here to break a tie. There's no legal
Oh,
question
yeah.
here. Whoever spoke first, according to whoever's running the meeting.
Mr. Kaminsky is recognized.
So is Councilmember Thompson.
Jerry, what were you gonna say?
I got a second. I'd like to table.
I will agree. I'm your second.
Not happening, no.
Not happening. No. Improper procedure. We do.
Because there was a cough into the microphone doesn't mean there was a complete sentence to make a motion on anything. I don't know what you were trying to say, but there wasn't a sentence that came out.
There was nothing that was clear.
There was a race by multiple council members to the microphone, and I heard Mr. Kaminsky.
I heard Councilmember Thompson.
Is
Playing
there,
games with this position, with this person, and
Hey.
I'm sorry, it's
I
bullshit.
don't know why you're smiling, Brian. What are you smiling for?
I'm sorry, we're talking about playing games with positions. We just hired an individual that wasn't even interviewed for the
Oh,
position.
And how
the
many did
posting
you
for loss
approve
of
of? You
road.
approved many positions without approving interview.
This goes counter to what you've been saying all year long about wanting an interview process and procedures and all.
I
that.
agree, we should. And, this goes counter to you. You think it's a joke. I mean, Councilmember,
Sorry, excuse me?
You're not excused. Councilmember Thompson did clearly ask for a roll call vote.
Well, we have a disagreement here. I recognize that this motion was tabled.
And that should be fair, roll call vote. Everybody has a position to speak for themselves.
But
And if
the-
you wanted to vote no, that would be on the record to reflect it that
There
way
was a
as well.
motion and second to table the item.
So, it's obvious to the entire room and everybody who may be listening, come next meeting, this is gonna be passed and voted on. I can tell you that right now. So for you to kind of try and grandstand this, I think is, disrespectful.
Well, I think.
Yeah,
And
quit playing games,
also
Brian.
to interrupt me,
Quit playing games.
One
person
at a time,
right?
one at a time.
So
So
that being
you're-
said,
Go ahead.
it's disrespectful to the individual who we've done this to multiple times in meetings. It's a slap in the face and we're just being an obstructionist now, just holding stuff up. This is a position that has been up with this individual's name many times.
May I
We've
have a-
interviewed him.
Councilmember Kaminsky, you recognize.
Well, and here's the part I don't understand from day one. Well, please do, because I sat in on the interviews. And the biggest thing, you need to have electrical experience, plumbing experience, carpentry experience. This is not a job that anybody is going to learn in 60 or 90 days. I would hope to God that nobody. Oh, I'm sorry. I would hope to God nobody gets injured or the man gets hurt by himself. You just don't throw people into these jobs for whatever your reasoning is. Besides the fact there's TCEA members that have bid on these jobs and the bids haven't been pulled. They're still up until Thursday. So we talk about not interviewing people, but we're just going to pass over union members. Actually, the last one, I think he was a seasonal and worked in sewer for a while. So now we're going to throw union procedures and everything out the window too.
So I think it was until this year that we even brought up the idea of interviewing people where, before this, it was just, okay, we're going to put this name on a resolution because, that's the name I like.
Councilmember, that's not fair. The individual running the Parks Department right now went through an interview process. with
Okay,
several
I
individuals.
apologize. The board.
The board interviewed that individual for the position. John Shuselski interviewed for the position he now holds
Yes.
And he,
with other applicants.
yeah, and the word
Yep.
is he wants to step down from that position. Is that?
All
Is
right,
that
guys,
correct?
guys.
Councilmember
Can I
Pulaski.
speak on this quick, please? All right, we're going down a rabbit hole and it's getting nasty again, where individuals are being called up out here and publicly embarrassed, which is kind of a whole lot of BS. The bottom line is, Vern is correct. We're going to face this again next meeting. The bottom line is, you have every right to vote no on it. It's going to go 4-0. I think we should vote on it tonight, a roll call vote. I am a yes on this. I gave you guys a heads up on it. We're just kicking the can down the road. It's definitely not fair. Again, where we've just become to where we're at with this, with calling an individual out. I don't like that.
That's certainly not my intent.
I know that's not your
Now,
intent. I definitely know it's not your intent, but that's where we ended up. And we're now bringing in other people to say they're doing this, doing that. I think we should just vote this up and down.
We have a parliamentary question before us, and we may have to go back to the video. Who was the first person to speak?
I'd like to
is
be
the table-
acknowledged.
Just a moment, please. We may have to go back to the video to
after.
confirm that.
Councilmember Jazinski.
So I'll make if you'd like to speak first, maybe we need to take a recess to look back at the video to see who the first person to speak was, just to clear it up. Okay. Well, we don't have
And-
videos on option.
Well, I'd like to be acknowledged, and after that, I'd
All
like
right.
to make a motion
We're-
to end the meeting to view the video just to prove our point, if that's what you need.
all right,
But I
we're gonna-
mean, you are,
And-
it's exactly true. You're an obstructionist. Councilmember Pilarski and I don't agree on a lot, let's face it. But tonight I have to be in agreement with him because sometimes he is right. And this time, Brian, Supervisor, you are dead wrong.
So,
Thompson.
thank you. So you just acknowledging, you're the chair of the meeting and you get to make discretion. I'm asking you, make discretion on this, do the right thing, and do a roll call vote on this. I don't have to
I'll
explain
second
any
a
more
roll call vote.
backstory on it. It's a personal thing for you at this point, if you want to do the right thing in regards to this.
Recognizing where we're gonna be in 2 weeks. And the nature of this posting is different than resolution 790. And in the case of that position, that was posted and taken down, I want to say the 23rd. That one may have been the 20th. I'm mixing them up for the moment. We have bidders from the TCSU bargaining unit. For the Lawson Road position, that creates some complications. In regards to the Parks Division position, that one was posted many months ago. And even though a reposting was put up, that doesn't mean the process started over again. And as you said, where we'll be in 2 weeks, this is something that would go through anyways. To my mind, I think Mr. Mez, and we're at a spot where the resolution's in front of me and we're asking about our opinions of particular employees. I think he'd be a better fit for the Lawson Road spot between these two positions than he would be for the Parks Division. But knowing this is going to come up in 2 weeks, and even though I disagree about who is the first speaker here, we can't run a process where the first person to scream at the microphone just gets what they want. And that's basically what happened here. And we talk about bullshit, that's bullshit, But with that said, knowing this is going to come up in 2 weeks, wanting to work together with this board, knowing where we're going to go, not being able to go back to video unless we stop the meeting. And I don't know where Councilman Pilarski and Ms. Bukowski are, but it seems like there's general agreement that we should just vote this and be done with it.
That would be the right thing to do.
Take the roll call vote.
Well, now we got to talk procedure because we did have a proper motion to the table. How do we bring it back, town
Well,
attorney?
if
Or
we had a proper motion to table, that's not being recognized by half this board.
oh, I'm
that's our
not saying,
problem.
listen, I'm not saying it's not recognized. I think Jerry did get in first, but I think what's
Yeah.
going on right now is literally just not right. I mean, it's going to happen.
This is
It should
bogarting.
happen. It's
You
getting
talk
kicked down
about,
the road.
you talk about,
I think we should have just addressed it tonight. It's going to be addressed
Power
again.
abuse.
And whether it goes tonight 4-2 or next week 5-2, I mean, I'm a yes on it tonight. I'll be a yes on it next week. So I think we should just address it and move on.
Supervisor, you run the meeting. Are you calling for a roll call vote?
To my mind, we had a proper motion to table in a second. And it's,
Point.
look, it's not an easy decision to make. And I understand where we're going in 2 weeks. I think we should talk about both of these positions together. As I said, I think Mr. Mez would be a better fit at Lawson Park. We have bidders on the TCSU side for one of these positions.
Only dealing with one
I'm-
position right
I'm
now.
truly torn. Procedurally, the table has to stand. That's my final call on this.
I don't agree with that.
I
because it's
disagree with
not-
that.
Nothing you can even prove.
Right.
All right, so am I acknowledged now, Supervisor?
The item is tabled. We're moving on to the
No,
next
I didn't
item.
get acknowledged.
You had an opportunity. to
No, you
speak,
didn't
Council.
acknowledge me. I'd like to call the supervisor out of order.
And if there is no question made, I guess, well, there's no way to prove or disprove that it was either tabled or called for a roll call.
Well, I make a second to end this meeting now. And so we can, if you're going to stand your ground and you're going to be an obstructionist and prevent the inevitable in 2 weeks,
Well,
then I'd be more than willing to
and
look at
gentlemen,
that
And if
video.
I may,
The item has been tabled. We're moving
I
on to
disagree.
resolution
No, we're not.
792.
No.
Mike, you just sound foolish. Now let's move
And-
on. I mean, the
Sound
bottom line
foolish.
is he is correct. He is in charge of the meeting. It was tabled, his call, yes or no. You can dispute it afterwards and challenge it, and I think, but at the end of the day, supervisor is in charge of the meeting, and whether I agree or disagree, or any of us agree or
just
disagree, I
to
think we should move on.
do the same logic, there's a resolution on suspension of rules for a position for your office. I mean, I could simply just say, no, thank you.
Yep,
Just one
I'm-
person. That's not
right.
It
fair.
happened for
And
my
that
position at
happened-
multiple meetings
And
this
that
year. I am
actually
well aware of
happened
that.
At the last meeting with Mr.
We're
Kaminsky.
not
this
going to allow the
position.
suspension of rules, just an FYI.
Understood. Let's move on to 792.
792, sponsored by Councilmember Thompson, seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. A vacancy exists in the title of automotive mechanic crew chief in the central garage. Eric Hansen of Cheektowaga, New York, being and hereby is appointed to the position of automotive mechanic crew chief in the central garage in accordance with the terms and conditions of the town's collective bargaining agreement with the town of Cheektowaga supervisory unit effective December 31st, 2024.
Like to table it?
Second,
Second,
tabled.
That's the end of the resolutions that were pulled. We have one item under suspension of rules. I need a motion and a second to waive the rules to include resolution item 2024-797.
I'll make the
Motion.
motion.
I'm a no on the suspension of rules.
Have action taken. That was resolution 2024-799. That's the end of the resolution items. As far as communications, departmental communications received by the town clerk's office include minutes from the planning board of October 10th, 2024, minutes from the environmental advisory committee of November 27th, 2024, minutes from the conservation advisory council of December 11th, 2024, and minutes of traffic safety commission, December 17th, 2024. General communications include 3 notices of claim and 1
Supervisors' comments. I'm going to be real brief. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And, despite our disagreements and heated discussions tonight, I do look forward to working with this board in the year to come. There's a lot of good that we got done for this town this year. And I think in the year to come, you're going to see more of the good things that we do when we find consensus to help the people of the town and make things better. Council members?
Like to wish everybody a very happy new year, healthy for starters. And I just want to reflect back. A year ago, I was sitting right where you all are and had my thoughts, had my comments, and my criticisms of the town board at the time as well. And just so you know, it's easier said than done. And after being on the town board for 1 year, it's been enlightening. There's a lot of work that this town needs to do. But one of the first things I did say, and Jerry Kaminsky as well as the supervisor can confirm this, when I took office, the very first thing I said is, I don't care what letter is after our name, whether Republican or Democrat, we were all elected to represent you and everyone else in this town. And that has been my goal, is to work together, regardless, Republican, Democrat, because I'm tired of the arm wrestling bullshit. We need to just work together. What is the town's issues? What are the department issues? What are employees' issues? What are the residents' issues? That's what we need to come to a round table and discuss and work things out. And that's what I promise I'm going to continue to do, to work together. I had 11 committees, and I was on committees with everybody, as well as the supervisor. And yes, I need to talk to the supervisor. I need to talk to Jerry Kaminsky. Why? Because we're on committees together. communication is key. And again, communication is key. So when somebody sends out an email, let's respond. Let's be cordial. Let's respond. And that's one of the things I do, and I take this job seriously. A resident can call me. I answer my phone. If I'm busy or whatever, if there's a voicemail, I turn around, I call that individual back. An individual emails me. I look at my emails every day, even Saturdays and Sundays, evenings, whatever. I look at my emails and I acknowledge the fact that I got an email from a resident. And I said, I will look into this for you. A few days later, department heads or whatever, what the issue may be, I follow back up with that individual. And again, that's my promise that I'm going to finish up my term here as councilwoman, to work for you, to work together for you. And Happy New Year.
On the line, Councilman? Okay,
Sure. So again, same shoes as Barb, I've been here a year now and it's been very eye-opening and, it's incredibly frustrating too, the amount of teeth you have to pull to try kind of get information sometimes. And, everybody wants to tell you what they want you to hear. So you have to be very objective and, prime example tonight, you're not privy to getting information for almost $3 million. And we're sitting up here as the council members supposed to be watching, what's going on with the town and how monies are spent. That's a problem. So I know it's not, one party or the other, but I really look forward to, a fresh start and a fresh change with Tony Filipski sitting on the end here. I think we're going to work fantastic together and I'm really looking forward to it. And, hopefully we can affect some positive change. And, that's what I'm really excited for. So I hope everybody had a good holiday and have a happy new year as well. And, the back and forth and bashing people. And I mean, that's gotta stop. I don't know if it's just the last grasp of power that, you're not going to have the majority to be able to do whatever you want. That's the only thing that comes to mind, but you can't operate that way. And, that's why I think, people are fed up and they said, let's try something different. And, I hope even in a year from now or by the end of my term, if I can look back and say, we did affect some positive change, I'd be happy. So that's the goal.
Mr. Kaminsky.
Well, I think relative to Vern's remarks, believe it or not, it took me 12 and a half years to discover that there are Democratic and Republican resolutions. I'm still scratching my head over that one. That's probably why I don't have any hair. But I think in something I've always tried to do, if I got a question about anything, I'm one that picks up the phone. Might be Dan, might be Pat Bowen, might be Mark Bielefeld, Crystal. Nobody ever says no to me about anything. If there's a question on anything, all you got to do, dial up the phone, get them on the phone or have them call you back, and you get the answers to your questions. I just can't see going meetings to meetings, and I don't mean this in a bad way, that even some of those people in the audience don't know what the attachments are on our resolutions. If you go past the resolutions on the town website, all the warrants show up. Every single piece of information that you could possibly want relative to resolutions, it's there. I do believe this meeting was 680 pages. I think 2 meetings ago, it was over 800 pages. Do I read them all? Absolutely not. I got a pretty good idea of what's going on, and that's what I go by. And I'll go back to what Barb said, because her and I had talked about it. To me, the political party was a means of getting here. Once you get here, you have to represent everybody. I am not going to pick and choose. And one thing I will try and do is put the best person in the best possible place to do their job for the taxpayers in Chickamauga. I don't think anybody would be very happy if we took somebody that came in on a test at a 25 and we put them on a police department. How would that work? It's kind of like having your CPA doing your appendix. It doesn't work. I've been around long enough to know who's qualified and who isn't, but it's gotten to the point, and I understand that political end of it, totally. But not when somebody's totally unqualified. But either way, that's enough of that. Hopefully, we can start anew next year. Everybody have a good new year.
Right, Councilmember Jazinski?
Thank you. Couple points. In my tenure of being on the board for the past 3 years, it has been customary to be included in all emails when it came to town things, when it came to spending, regardless if you were in that committee or not. We're going to go through a reorg in a couple weeks here. One thing I can promise you that there's going to be more transparency for the town and its taxpayers. We're going to show the town people what fiscal accountability is. Because, you know, I think I have an issue with we're not only losing tax dollars on properties that are behind on their taxes, but we're also maintaining their lawns and salting and stuff like that. So not only are we losing money via the taxes, we're also losing money by outsourcing the work to a third-party company to do this work. Now, I remember on many occasions, there's been a department head up here explaining that the town workers do not have enough work. Well, if we keep on outsourcing their work, in their defense, what the hell do we have a union for? What do we have these employees for? It's up to us to make sure that we employ our people of the town first who applied for the jobs. And yes, there's going to be certain people that don't have every requirement and certification and every degree, but do we have any program for these workers to, you know, further their career or give them the opportunity to better themselves? We don't. You know, and plus, by cutting out these contracts that we're outsourcing, the money we'd save on this outsourcing, millions of dollars, we'd have the money to buy highway trucks and other vehicles that are needed in this town. So one thing is fiscal accountability during the reorg is what I hope to bring to the town's taxpayers. With that, I'd like to say Happy New Year, health in the new year. Thank you.
Councilmember Pilarski?
I wish we would literally paint the whole picture here for the residents and everybody, and even for ourselves, because I mean, we're trying to fool ourselves up here. Is some of it, you know, when the public comment period comes up and says, hey, we're paying $20,000 a year for grass cutting, you know, the big picture is that money rolls over onto the tax bill and the town is made whole from the county when they collect it through a land sale to whoever the new buyer is, whether that goes up for, you know, in rem because they're back on their taxes or whatever, those charges still go on the tax bill. So the town's made whole on that. As for finding, you know, hey, having our own town employees do the work, because you've heard department heads say numerous times that, hey, there's not enough work. They say there's not going to be enough work if we're not paving. They're saying there's not going to be enough work if we can't take the plows out. We're told there's not going to be enough work if they can't do their currently assigned jobs, if they don't have the proper tools and equipment. Now, we can go around cutting all these lawns in the town to include our own properties, but we're going to need more equipment. And if we don't approve these equipment, whether it's plows, dump trucks, zero turns, whatever it may be, our workers aren't going to do the work. They can't do the work because they don't have the tools unless you're sending them out with a pair of scissors and a ruler to go through it all. That's the only way. So we're not painting the whole picture here. We're trying to make it one-sided of one versus the other or whatever this is and all that. There's a whole picture here that's not being painted and put out there. It's very one-sided. But I don't want to go back and forth here tonight on a public comment period. I wish you all a happy New Year's and a Merry Christmas.
Yep. With that, next is public comment period. Give me just a moment. Public comment period is an opportunity for residents to comment on matters involving Cheektowaga. The public comment period shall last 15 minutes maximum. Each speaker may speak only once, and each speaker shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes speaking time. Our first speaker tonight is Rob Hupkowitz.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Basically, I got a question. How much are you guys planning on spending fighting the TCA on things you know you can't win? Wouldn't it be easier just sit down and talk to them? Also talking to people. I got these two handbooks, employee handbooks, 2005, 2012, in it, both of them, including multiple contracts of mine state, if I have an issue, take it up to 2 reporting agencies. One of them is the town attorney, the other is our HR director. Since my problem is with the HR director, I took it to the town supervisor. You figure that's common. The 2 times we did sit down to talk, I was told we can't talk about my issue. Why? Isn't that what the object of this is about? I mean, why print these books and put language in it? Better? Okay. Like, why print the books, put that information in it if I send emails and phone calls and everything, and it's just dead air? It makes no sense. If you're afraid I'm going to sue you, tell you what, for the April 2023, or what is, oh, sorry, 2024 incident, I will not bring suit against the town. Does that make everybody more comfortable? Will you talk to me now? I mean, there's no way you're going to win against the union. I mean, I've showed you some of the evidence. Really? You're going to waste taxpayers' money? I mean, keep track of how much you're spending, because I'm going to want to know how much it is, especially on the case that has to do with me specifically. I don't want a broad thing. Well, we paid these ex-attorneys, 3 months worth at $100,000. We can't tell you exactly. No, itemize it. Let the public know how much of their money you're wasting. You guys are up here fighting over nickels and dimes, but you'll trip over dollars. Thank you, Barb, for saying it when you talked at the end of the meeting about not being Republican or Democrat, doing for the residents. Yeah, I'm an employee, but I'm also a taxpayer. Like, I expect, some common decency of a return email. Thank you.
Next speaker is Don Flipsky.
I'm really kind of disappointed in what happened and what transpired tonight. If anything, it was a dick move. Y'all know it was. It's because the supervisors don't want a certain person to join their union. And that's being honest with the entire town that's listening here. We all know what happened. As far as that, and as far as Brian, yes, when some of those properties do get it. However, when you have a $16,000 piece of property that now has back taxes of $800,000, what's happening? Why are we still allowing this to happen? This is ridiculous. Why are some of these properties that we've had since 2002, 2003, why don't they have a sign out in front, for sale by the town? Because we own them. And when we own something and we have a contractor come and pay for something, it's not coming against our taxes. We own it. It's coming against my taxes, their taxes, and even your taxes, because now we're paying for something that a town employee could have easily done. It's just plain old ridiculous, and it's got to stop. We need to be more fiscally responsible, and we also need to make sure that our rules are being followed the way they are supposed to be. If that sign is still on there, I will be calling the news to find out why that sign is still on our property. Just don't think I won't. And the other thing is internal controls. I've spoken about this a million effing times here. We need to do something to make sure things are getting done. It's ridiculous that we don't have any. Maybe you have them. You got to do internal audits. You want help? I'm offering my help. I'm retired. I've got a lot of time. I'm happy to come and help. Won't charge you. I'll get you started in the right direction. But if you think just because I'm a Republican, that's a bad thing, then you're gonna be in trouble here. This town is in very bad trouble. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Stephen Nowicki.
Hi, everyone. This town board chooses to fight over anything it can, whether it's garbage cans, budget items that need to be passed, or items that you're already going to pass, but decide to fight on anyway. That's embarrassing. Let's see. Vern, I genuinely don't believe your job is hard. All you need to do is look to your left and find what decision you're going to make tonight. This is the town of Cheektowaga. God forbid, anything of real importance actually came across this board. This room would burn to the ground before we made a decision. You're here to upkeep the roads and dutifully employ the town's workers to make this town a better place. When this board fails, the town fails. I know we love to table resolutions left and right just to hurt the other board members. Remember who you're really hurting. Frankly, I think we should table your pay until we get this act together, because this is just embarrassing. Town workers don't get enough work because this board doesn't pass resolutions allowing them to work. Shocker there. I can't even say I expect better, because this is really what I do expect from the board at this point. I expect better next year, and we'll see what happens. Thanks.
All right, with that, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. Second from Councilmember Pilarski. All in favor?